All right. On to the head, I think. Bring back the base layer right here so I can see about what his neck should look like. I think I'm going to start by just grabbing a cube and kind of filling his head in with that. Just be a rough outline of where his head would go if he had one in here. Like that. Extrude that down to the neck. If he had a chin, it'd be like that, I assume. Yep. And I'm going to add these things to this layer right here so I can turn them off if I need to. Now I can see the back of his neck. There we go. Mesh smooth. There we go. And start reworking this a little bit better. Just delete everything down there just so it's not in my way. I mostly just want to make sure that this is filling up the space behind the helmet. So it looks like he's really fitting in there. Maybe not quite that close. There we go. Give it a little bit of gap. And now I'll use these two once I get that overlapping a bit. Whoop, get the overlapping bit better. You start drawing a slightly more simplified version. How far does this go? Don't need to go that far then. I'll go a little ways into that, just to make sure that his when his neck moves around, he doesn't flash a great big hole in his torso. I see any more of this up there? If I look really close, yes, I can. I'm gonna have to make a little bit more, I think. All right, this isn't live. That's why I kept jumping up into there instead. Okay. I think I'd better add this one too if I'm going to make any more adjustments. There we go. Oops. And all the way around. And now the eyes. Now I think I'll keep the eyes fairly simple because he is a snail and snails have fairly simple eyes. If you do an eye out of a sphere, what happens, well, I might as well show this, is if you round it out later with the mesh smooth, you risk creating this weird little star shape pattern in the top of it right there, right where the pupil would be. And if I were to, I'll do a save as before I do anything. If I were to throw a material on this, maybe a blend, make it obvious. Dark that color, bright specularity. There you go. You can see the hot spot on the and the reflection right there. If I move this up, you can just barely make out this weird little star shape right there. Look at that. You don't want that in your eyes because it looks kind of weird. So I'm going to delete this, optimize my scene to get rid of the extra material. Instead of using a sphere, I'm going to go to Create, Polygon Primitives, Platonic Solid. No, I'm not going to use that. I'm going to change my Platonic Solid from icosahedron to a cube. And yes, I could have used a cube, but the cube does not have this subdivisions right here to turn it into a perfect sphere. If I were to use a cube instead and go mesh smooth a bunch of times, what happens is the algorithm for the smooth pinches at the corners. And if I were to duplicate that and rotate it around, you'd see that this is not a perfectly smooth and round shape. Some parts stick out further than others. But if I use the Platonic solid and increase my subdivisions with that, duplicate and rotate around, you can see that this is the same spherical shape in every direction. So I get a much rounder object with that. I'll bring that up. And that'll be my eyeball. I'm just using this to get an idea as to how far forward it needs to go. Ah, there it is. Mesh tools. No, that's not the one I want. Mesh tools, create polygon. I'm just going to draw kind of an eyelid around this. Something like that. It's back here, so I'm going to grab this, pull this forward, rearrange it a little bit. Just like the edges, and turn off the world symmetry, extrude those outwards a little bit. Now I can get rid of the face in the middle. Pull these back and start sort of laying them around the eye. And I'm not going to worry if it goes through it on the edges. I'm worried about the corners for now. Edge loop in the middle. And this is kind of sort of what I do for human eyes. So I'm just going to try using it here and see how it looks. Pull out the top like that. And the bottom, I'm going to snap these on the interior vertex there and pull them out. Try to create a little ledge on the bottom. Corners here, I'll just pull them in to kind of be a halfway point between the top and the bottom way of doing things. The interior, grab that, extrude, pull that to the back, fill that gap in, merge those vertices, I'm just going to start extruding out to make the rest of it. Use my sculpt geometry tool a little bit right here. Does not need reflection. Smooth that, maybe. Is that called relax? Make the back a little bit rounder. This is happening right here because it's trying to snap to the surface on the inside instead of the outside. Doesn't matter because I'm going to extrude this down later anyway. Like that. Let's flatten that out to get rid of that weird kink in it. And I bring this down here, put that inside the hole. Let's see. I might just delete that bit in there. Extrude that a little bit, just have a base for the head in there. See, maybe this might be a little easier. And that should be everything I want to really model on this. I might a little worried about the paper thin shell right here, so because you can still see some of it, I'm going to extrude a little bit in, up, just to make sure it's got some thickness to it in case anyone gets into really weird angles on this fella. Alright. I think he's done, for the modeling at least. Next comes UV layout. Fun times.